Do you feel like you're drifting through life, reacting to notifications instead of pursuing a real mission? The digital world is designed to keep you distracted from your true purpose, burying your dreams under endless static. Today, we are reclaiming your internal compass by mastering the discipline of intentional stillness. Right now, as you're listening to this, there are approximately 4.2 billion pieces of content competing for your attention. Somewhere, an algorithm trained on your deepest behavioral patterns is deciding what you'll watch next, what you'll want next, what you'll think next. But not today. Today, we are going to do something radical, something the entire architecture of modern technology is engineered to prevent you from doing. We are going to be still. Welcome to Silence is Your Superpower. I'm your host, and today we're diving into the deepest, most important conversation you'll have all year. How to find your purpose in 2026 by learning to use the one tool that no AI can replicate, no wearable can manufacture, and no algorithm can sell you. Your silence. Setting the scene, 2026, the world inside your head. Let's talk about where we actually are in 2026. Not the headlines, not the press releases from tech companies promising to enhance your well-being. Let's talk about the texture of daily experience. You wake up. Before you've said a single word to another human being, your neural interface, or your phone, or your smart glasses has already read your biometrics, your cortisol levels, your REM cycles. It has cross-referenced that data with 14 billion user profiles and decided this person is anxious this morning. Let's show them something exciting. And just like that, before you've had your first sip of coffee, you are no longer living inside your own mind. You are living inside a curated, hyper-personalized, emotionally calibrated narrative that someone else built for you. The hyper-personalized AI feed. What makes 2026 categorically different from every other era of human distraction is this. The distraction now knows you. In 2010, the internet distracted us broadly. You might go down a rabbit hole on topics completely unrelated to your life. In 2020, social media learned to target your emotions. But in 2026, with the maturation of what researchers are calling second-generation hyper-personalization, the feed doesn't just know what you're interested in. It knows what you're afraid of. It knows what makes you feel validated. It knows the exact emotional temperature at which you are most likely to keep scrolling, and it exploits all of that continuously in real time. The result? A state of mental fragmentation so complete that most people in 2026 have not had a single uninterrupted original thought in weeks. We are not distracted from our thoughts. We are distracted before our thoughts even form. Think about that for a moment, because this is the key. Distraction used to interrupt your thinking. Now, the algorithm of distraction has positioned itself upstream of your thinking. It fills the space before the thought arrives. Sensory technology and mental fragmentation. And it's not just your phone anymore. In 2026, the distraction has gone spatial. Spatial computing, the blend of augmented reality overlays with the physical world, means that the algorithm is no longer confined to a screen you can set down. It is woven into the air around you. You walk past a coffee shop and a contextual overlay recommends their oat latte based on your sleep data. You sit in a park and the augmented layer populates your field of vision with curated micro-content. The physical world, the last great refuge of unmediated experience, is being colonized. Dr. Mara Shin, a cognitive neuroscientist at MIT whose work I want to reference here, has described this phenomenon as cognitive layering. The idea is that the human brain was designed to process one primary layer of reality at a time. When you impose 2, 3, 4 simultaneous layers of competing sensory input, the brain doesn't just get distracted. It fundamentally restructures itself around fragmentation. The default mode, the restful, wandering, creative, deeply human mode of mind, begins to atrophy because the algorithm never gives it space to activate. Your brain over time loses its ability to be alone with itself. What it actually costs you. I want to move from the abstract to the physical for a moment, because this is not just a philosophical problem. There is a real, measurable physiological cost to never being truly alone with your thoughts. And in a world of wearable tech and spatial computing, that cost is compounding daily. Let's start with the default mode network. I know that sounds academic, so let me make it vivid. The default mode network, your brain's hidden workshop. The default mode network, or DMN, is a set of interconnected brain regions that become most active not when you're focused on a task, but when you're doing nothing, when you're daydreaming, when you're staring out a window, when you're in the shower thinking about nothing in particular. For a long time, neuroscientists thought this network was essentially the brain's idle state, a waste of energy, background noise. They were spectacularly wrong. We now know that the default mode network is where some of the most important cognitive work happens. It is where you process your memories and integrate them into a coherent sense of self. It is where you engage in what researchers call mental time travel, imagining your past, simulating your future. It is where you develop empathy by mentally modeling the experiences of others. It is where creative insight lives. The proverbial shower thought, the idea that comes to you on a walk. The default mode network is, in a very real sense, the workshop where your purpose is built. And in 2026, we have created a world that systematically shuts that workshop down. Every moment of stimulation, every notification, every AR overlay, every haptic buzz from your wearable suppresses the DMN. Your brain pivots to task mode. It processes the input. It responds. And the moment it starts to drift back to rest, to wander, to do that crucial background work, another stimulus fires. The wearable world and perpetual surveillance of self-wearable technology in 2026 has created a second dimension to this problem, the endless self-surveillance loop. Your wearable tells you your stress is elevated, so now you're thinking about your stress. Your smart ring detects irregular HRV, now you're anxious about your anxiety. Your AR glasses log that you've been sedentary for 22 minutes, and a gentle overlay appears. Move now. Each one of these interruptions is individually reasonable. Collectively, they create a state of perpetual self-monitoring that makes genuine inner stillness physiologically impossible. Here's what nobody is telling you about this. The body has a self-regulation system. It is ancient. It is extraordinarily wise. It is called the autonomic nervous system, and its parasympathetic branch, the rest and digest mode, needs quiet to do its job, not just physical quiet, cognitive quiet. When we fill every moment with data, with stimulation, with prompts to optimize and improve and respond, we do not give the autonomic nervous system the space to regulate. Cortisol stays elevated. The stress response, designed to be acute and temporary, becomes chronic and structural. Studies out of Stanford Center for Mind, Body, and Health have shown that people who regularly experience extended periods of unstimulated quiet, what they call cognitive silence, show measurably lower inflammatory markers, significantly better emotional regulation, and perhaps most strikingly, dramatically clearer access to their own values, desires, and sense of direction. Their sense of purpose, in other words, becomes legible to them. The hidden crisis, purposelessness in a hyper-stimulated world. And I want to name what I think is the quiet epidemic underneath all of this data. The single most common thing people tell me in letters, in comments, in conversations. I feel like I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. I feel like I'm busy all the time and going nowhere. I feel like there's something I'm meant to do and I can't hear it. They blame themselves. They think they're lazy or unfocused or broken. They are not. They are distracted at a depth and a scale that is historically unprecedented, and the systems they live inside are designed, deliberately, elegantly, profitably designed to keep them that way. Because a person who has found their purpose is significantly harder to monetize. A person with clarity, with direction, with a deep sense of what matters to them, does not need the algorithm to tell them what to watch next. I want to introduce a concept I've been sitting with for some time now. I call it the digital veil. The digital veil is not simply distraction. It is something more subtle and more profound. It is the layer of algorithmically curated noise that stands between you and your own deepest intelligence. Every human being is born with what I would describe as a navigational system. Psychologists call it intuition. Philosophers have called it the inner voice. Ancient wisdom traditions called it the soul. Neuroscientists are beginning to understand it as the integrated intelligence of the body-brain system, a network of pattern recognition, emotional memory, and somatic wisdom that operates below the level of conscious thought. This system is, in many ways, smarter than your conscious mind. It has processed every experience you've ever had. It has integrated lessons you don't consciously remember learning. It has a remarkably accurate read on what aligns with your deepest values and what does not. And it communicates in whispers. The algorithm communicates in screams. And we have been trained to listen to screams. The digital veil is everything that drowns out the whisper. It is the infinite scroll that keeps your hands busy when your heart is trying to speak. It is the notification that fires exactly when a quiet insight is beginning to surface. It is the ambient hum of content that occupies the same cognitive bandwidth as your deepest creative impulses. What the veil suppresses. Here is what I observe when people begin to practice genuine cognitive silence, when they begin to lift the digital veil, even imperfectly. First, they experience what I call the withdrawal phase. This is uncomfortable. The mind, accustomed to constant input, begins to generate its own noise. Anxiety, restlessness, a strong urge to reach for a device. This phase typically lasts between 3 and 7 days of consistent practice. It is not a sign that silence isn't working. It is a sign that it is. Second, something remarkable begins to emerge from underneath the noise. Fragments, memories, questions they'd buried under productivity. A sense of direction that feels less like a decision and more like a recognition. I have known this all along, and I haven't been listening. Third, and this is the one that moves me every time I encounter it, people begin to create again, not because they have more time, not because they've taken a creativity course, but because the part of the brain that generates original ideas, the default mode network, the right hemisphere, the places where the digital veil has been drawn thickest, suddenly has room to breathe. Silence as a practice, what this actually looks like. I want to be concrete now, because I know some of you are thinking, this sounds beautiful, but I live in the real world. I have a job, I have a family, I have a life that does not stop being loud just because I decide I want to be quiet. I hear you, and here is what I want you to know. Silence as a superpower does not require a meditation retreat. It does not require you to throw away your devices. It does not require hours of your day. It requires consistency and intention with small windows of unmediated time. Here are 3 practices I want you to take away from today. Practice 1, the first 7 minutes. The first 7 minutes after you wake up are neurologically extraordinary. Your brain is transitioning out of the theta state, the dream state, and your DMN is still warm, still active, still close to the surface of consciousness. This is the window when your deepest intelligence is most accessible. For the next 21 days, I want you to protect those 7 minutes. No phone, no news, no podcast. Yes, that includes this one. Just sit, let your mind wander. Notice what surfaces. Write nothing down initially. Simply be present to your own interior landscape. You will be astonished by what you find there. Practice 2, the daily displacement walk once per day. Take a 15 to 20 minute walk with no audio input whatsoever, no headphones, no music, no podcast, just you and the world as it actually is. This is uncomfortable for most people, deeply uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is data. It is showing you exactly how colonized your quiet space has become. The walk is not about thinking through problems. It is about creating displacement, moving your body through space without optimizing the time and allowing the mind to follow whatever thread it chooses. Purpose does not announce itself in boardrooms. It surfaces on walks. Practice. 3, the question before the feed. Before you open any app, any feed, any content platform, pause. Ask yourself one question and answer it honestly, out loud or in writing. What do I actually want right now? Not what the algorithm thinks I want. What do I, as a person with a life and a body and a future, actually want right now? This practice sounds almost insultingly simple. It is not. It is a radical act of self-retrieval in a world engineered to outsource your desires. The more you practice asking that question, the more legible your own voice becomes. And the more legible your voice becomes, the more impossible it is to stay lost. We began today with a world that is louder than any world that has ever existed. A world where the algorithm of distraction has moved upstream of your thoughts. A world where wearable technology has made the body itself a site of perpetual data extraction. A world where the digital veil has been drawn so skillfully that most people have stopped believing there is anything behind it. But there is. Behind the veil is the most sophisticated navigational system ever created. It is yours. It was yours before the first app was installed. It has been with you through every season of your life, and it is waiting, patiently, persistently, with extraordinary grace, for you to get quiet enough to hear it. That is your superpower. Not productivity, not optimization, not the latest AI-assisted goal-setting framework, silence, the revolutionary, radical, world-changing act of being alone with yourself long enough to remember who you are. I'll see you in the silence.